We're going to build the wing panels today, and this should be what it will look like when you get done. Now, a couple things in the video that I forgot to mention. When you get done building these, do not remove your jig tabs off your ribs. Remove those at a later time. And also, on your leading edge, I mentioned one place you could get it. I was wrong. Uh, I said Balsa USA, but you can actually get those from National Balsa, as well as I've even seen them online at Amazon. So you shouldn't have too much trouble. Just do a Google search for a balsa leading edge, and it should pull up several places for it. All right. And in the next video, we'll actually put this wing all together, and it'll sort of look like this. I mean, I don't even have enough room to show it completely on camera. This thing's so big, but this is the center section, and then this is the wing panel. So it's going to be pretty good size. So let's get to it. All right, so now you're going to need to grab your wing panel portion of the plan and go ahead and lay it out and cover it with some wax paper or plan protector. And then grab your 3/8 by half by 30 stick, Basswood stick. That's going to be your top spar, because if you notice on the plan, it says we're going to do the left wing first. The left wing panel is built upside down over this section. Set your spar down here on the plan. Then we'll get the ribs out and get them set up to be glued in. All right, so now you're going to need T3 through T9, which will be all your wing ribs. And when you set these in, make sure that the tabs are right adjacent to the board. That's going to keep your wing ribs in the right position. Once you're satisfied with the way those fit, then go ahead and glue them in place with some CA glue. All right, so once you get your ribs glued in, now you're going to need another 3/8 by ½ inch by 30 inch basswood stick, and you're going to cut that the same length as the bottom one. This one's going to be a little bit different though, because you're going to need to, at rib T6, you're going to need to cut a V notch on the underside of this so that this stick can then bend down into T7. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, once you get that cut, that V notch cut, go ahead and set it in there, but do not glue it yet. So that's going to stay loose for the time being. And now we're going to take care of the leading edge and the trailing edge. All right, so you're going to need a 30-inch piece of balsa leading edge, which I know you can get these from Balsa USA. They have them. And then you're going to need a piece of ½ inch by 1 inch by 30 inch piece. And that's your trailing edge. So, and you want to notch these. Just look at the plan right there, and that's where you notch it. The other notch is right up there for the leading edge. All right, so now we're going to glue on the trailing edge. And what you need to do is, well, I made a mark right there, because this has got to be glued to the top edge, which is upside down. So the top edge of this right here has got to be where that gets glued to. And then you'll center it on the rest of them, which should be pretty close to about the same size as most of the ribs. But make sure this is glued near that point. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this now. And just remember, this is going to be glued to the top edge, which the top edge is on the bottom at this point. Till we flip it around, then it'll be the top. But yeah, just make sure you're in the right locations with all that stuff. And so now you're going to glue also your bottom spar, so that glue that all in. Especially make sure you glue that spot where it bends. And then your leading edge, when you glue that on, glue it to all the ribs except for T7, because it's going to be slightly off center down there. Okay? All right, so once you got those glued in, it should look something like I have here. So next you're going to want to take a straight edge and lay it down here, and then draw a line from this rib to this rib, and then you're going to want to sand this down. Use a razor plane and sanding bar to angle this down to the bottom of that rib. And you'll do the same thing on the front as well, and you can go ahead and glue that spot at on your T7 when you're satisfied with where it's going to sit at. So then once you do that, then we'll move on from there. All right, so now you're going to need to cut a 1/4 by 3/8 by 18 basswood sticks. You're going to need to cut those for your, and you're going to have to cut them 4.5 inches long for your aileron hatch rails. And then you're going to need to cut 4 half by 36 balsa stick. You're going to need to cut some hinge blocks, and we'll do that now. And you're going to glue your hatch rails in with 6-minute epoxy. All right, so once you get your hatch rails glued in, then you'll need to glue your hinge blocks in, and you'll glue them centered on the trailing edge. So we'll get that done now. All right, so once you got all your blocks glued in, then grab you some notebook paper. We're going to make some Aileron lead tubes. So you just roll it up and long ways. Take your 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, roll it up so it'll sit in the slot right here, and because your Aileron servo leads are going to come through that little hole right there. Okay, so once you got that done, then you can pull your wing panel off the building board. All right, so go ahead and grab your wing plan for the one that's labeled left wing panel. And remember, we're building this upside down, so we're building the right side, the right wing panel on this, because we built the left wing panel on the right side, upside down. So you're going to need 2 3/8 by 1/2 inch by 30 inch basswood sticks, and then you'll cut them to length like you did the last time, and so that'll be your spars. So we'll go ahead and get that pinned down to the board like we did the last time. All right, so now you're going to need your ribs. So you're going to have T3 through T9, and you'll glue them to the spar just like you did the last time. All right, and also make sure that your wing tabs back here, your jig tabs, are flush with the board as you glue them down, so everything's where it needs to be. All right, so once you get your ribs glued in, now you're going to need a 30-inch shaped balsa leading edge, and 1/2 inch by 1 inch by 30 inch balsa stick, and you're going to cut notches in like I've done here, like we did on the last wing. And you're also going to need to take your other 3/8 by 1/2 by 30 basswood stick and cut a V notch like you did the last time at rib 6, so it will bend down to rib 7. And once you do that, you can glue that in also. All right, so now once you got your leading edge and your trailing edge glued on, go ahead and do like you did the last time and sand the angle down between T6 and T7. All right, so once you got that done, got your leading edge all sanded down into from 5 to 6, then what you're going to need to do is grab your basswood stick that you had for the last one, at 1/4 inch by 3/8 by 18 inch is what it was, and you'll cut your 2 Aileron servo hatch rails, and then once you get that done, then grab your 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch by 36 inch balsa stick and cut your 5 hinge blocks and place them in the spots according to the plan. All right, so once you get those sticks cut, you're going to need the 6-minute epoxy to glue your hatch rails in, and you can just use regular CA glue to glue your hinge blocks on. All right, so now you should have one more completed wing panel, and I think will be the end of today's video. So Next time we'll be putting the wing together with the wing panels together with the center section. And after that, we'll be sheeting the wing. All right. Thanks for watching.